Welcome back to the Quantum Guide Show. Today in episode 153, my first-time guest is Becca Dickens. Becca is a regenerative farmer and energy healer. She is co-owner of the Regenerative Life Farm in rural central Illinois. Regenerative Life Farm is home to a chemical-free, no-till, deep compost market garden with magical soil and 300 pastured chickens and cattle. They sell eggs and vegetables to their community and provide education on food as medicine. As an energy worker, Becca offers online sessions using intuition and divine guidance to help people shift energy, heal emotionally and physically, and remember who they are. To find out more about Becca Dickens, as well as to find out where to reach me, all of the links are featured below in the description. Check us out, subscribe to my channels, leave me some comments, and like my shows. And please do share this video with your friends. Welcome, Becca, to the Quantum Guide Show. How you doing today?
I'm well. Thank you for having me. It's so nice to be here.
It's so nice to get to meet you. And I feel very passionately that food is our medicine. Going back to that's what Hippocrates said, I don't know how many years ago, long time ago. And I believe that's true. And I've done a lot of my own healing by changing the way I've eaten or even viewed food. But before we get into that, tell us a little bit about you, your background, how you got interested in regenerative farming. And yeah, I'm really excited to hear more.
Yes, I've had a interesting life, and my awakening came about, through lots of life changes and good things and bad things. I grew up where I live now in rural Illinois, very small town. I belonged to kind of a religious cult. We called it kind of a cult because it wasn't that scary, but a closed society, Christian society, very sheltered childhood. I broke out of my religion and went to college, and then went after college, taught English in Europe, and ended up being a IT software project manager, had a big corporate career. I never had children, but a couple of marriages, and a busy life, making a lot of money, a lot of international travel for my work. I was living in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I ran away from the small town as fast as I could when I got out of college, and ran away from my religion that I was raised in. And I also became a serious alcoholic. And I was an alcoholic for probably 20 to 25 years, from right after college. Pretty much right away, I was seriously addicted to alcohol. Luckily, I was functioning enough to keep a job and sort of keep relationships, but my life was very small, really just work and alcohol. I believe that from the time I was small, I heard voices and felt my spirit guides and had a good intuition about other people's energy. That was very much not accepted in my religion, and I avoided it. And when I lost my religion and left that church, I did feel rejected. It wasn't so much that I left and I rejected God. I felt like God never had a place for me. And everyone else in the religion, at some point in their, usually when they were teenagers, they would one day say, I commit my life to Christ. I've received the call, and now I'm giving myself to Christ. And I never heard the call. And so as I grew up, and I thought, well, this isn't for me. So it was a very lonely life. And I believe I used alcohol from the first time I discovered it, because it quieted the voices in my head that I didn't know what to do with. I felt very overwhelmed by other people's emotions, and alcohol was the easiest way to quiet that.
Yeah. Now, if I could just interrupt you for a second, because a couple points I want to touch on. I myself have also had a battle with alcohol, and And I also, I actually joined more than one church. I tried many of them because I kept expecting to have this life-changing experience or calling, like what you mentioned, and I never got it in any of those. All I could see was hypocrisy and rules, and I just never really fit in. But I totally get the alcohol thing. I also ran from my metaphysical experiences, my spiritual experiences, because every church I went to, I'd check it out with them, and they'd all say, "Oh, that's demons, and you're opening yourself up to the devil and all that other stuff." So I was petrified to follow my own inclinations. So I hid out in churches, then I hid out in alcohol, and then I had a couple bad marriages myself. But these things all, teach us so much. So, but I just really wanted you to know I hear you completely. And I even turned to the psychiatric industry, hoping the pills would shut off my awakening and me understanding and seeing things that other people didn't see. So I really understand and admire your courage, and I have to salute you, because being through it myself. And finally, funny thing is, I know we're going to get into food in a little bit, but food actually has enhanced and my spirituality in ways I never, ever dreamed possible. And so it takes great courage. I have, I quit drinking and I joined AA, but then I would have life circumstances and go back to it. But I didn't quit really for good until, about 20 years ago. And I am not bothered by it at all. I just have no desire, because what I have now is so much better. And I found that through eating real food. And so I think it's really important for people to pay attention to your path and your experiences, because you also found food as medicine, as being a really important concept in your life. Anyway, I didn't mean to take it all away. I just wanted to interrupt and tell you I totally hear you and admire your courage, because it takes courage to step out of paradigms that become familiar. I think a lot of people, that's what holds them back.
Yes, and something like your podcast is so helpful to someone like me, to hear somebody else who's had similar experiences, and for you to share those experiences that I can resonate with and just feel normal for once. It's very powerful. So yeah, I was living in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I had a crisis, like most alcoholics do, where I reached a point where I couldn't keep drinking and I couldn't stop drinking. But through some miracles, I just did stop, and really had no coping mechanisms with life. I was married at the time. I got divorced. I had a job, but I was miserable, really miserable, true misery, and just no way to deal with anxiety. I suffered from very serious anxiety. I think I had an anxiety attack for 6 months solid. And I just decided I wouldn't drink and see what happened. Talk about courage. It was the bravest thing I ever did. Was I had no hope, no feeling of God's presence or any kind of spirituality. The voices were still silent. I was just alone, in pain physically and mentally. And I thought, I'll just see if I can bear this and see how long. And it took about 6 months before the light started to come in. And then it just began flooding in. As the alcohol cleared out of my body, I started to get healthier. But more importantly, my brain started to work better. And I could just deal with stresses and problems of life a little bit better. And Albuquerque is a very magical, spiritual place with all kinds of nutty, wacky people running around. Lots of people who channel, lots of people who believe in aliens, I met Pleiadians and the Syrian. I had lunch with a Syrian, and not from Syria, a Syrian from Sirius. And people start coming into your life. So as I was recovering from alcoholism, spiritual people just started appearing to me, helping me, offering freely what they saw and what they believed. And the world just started opening up. My guide started talking to me. And I was still, though, very much suffering physically. And I decided to try with food. I knew that not having alcohol in me made me feel better, but I had a feeling that sugar was still a really big problem. And that's the first thing I gave up, is I just went zero sugar, zero carbs, did a extreme low carb diet and zero sugar for a time, lost tons of weight that never came back, though I do eat carbohydrates now. Had a very lost weight, got way smarter, my brain worked way better, and I just could not believe it. And I still didn't care about the quality of the food so much. I was just thinking about macronutrients. But things kept developing. As I began to get healthier and clearer, and my spirit guides were supporting me more and helping me more, I couldn't do my corporate job anymore. It became impossible for me. I used to wear high heels all the time and clomp around and go to meetings in conference rooms and do office politics and boss people around, and none of that resonated with me any longer. I couldn't even stand to be under fluorescent lights. And so I just had to leave the career. I kind of got laid off or lost a contract, but I kind of just couldn't do it anymore. And I didn't even care. I really had no prospects, but I met a friend who also used to be a project manager like me, but she looked like she had lost a lot of weight and she was glowing. And I said, "What did you do?" And she said, I'm going to school to be a nutritional therapist. And I said, okay, I'm doing that. So I went to school to become a nutritional therapist, which is just using food as medicine. You can look it up at the Nutritional Therapy Association, a wonderful organization based on the principles of Weston A. Price. And they just treat people's physical problems using food instead of pharmaceuticals.
Mm-hmm.
So that opened up the world for me. I became extremely anti-pharmaceutical, and incorporated back things like carbohydrates. I wasn't so extreme about only eating fats and proteins, but I started to pay attention to the quality of the food and try to avoid things that were processed, and to eat mostly whole foods, and to get meat from, that was more organically raised and that was treated kindly while it was alive. And so it just, as all of those things happened, it just, like, you wouldn't believe the enlightenment that came upon me and how much easier my life got and how clear everything got. I was still living in Albuquerque. My marriage was over. I really had no friends. I never really had a lot of friends. I had a lot of weirdo people that I was kind of friends with, who were the channelers and the alien people, but no close relationships. All of my family was still in the small town of Illinois. My dad got diagnosed with Alzheimer's. He's okay. This was in 2015. But in 2017, I decided just to move back to the small town in Illinois. I had zero prospects, divorced. I was around 50 years old, unemployed, burned out on relationships, and nutritional therapy degree and ready to treat, but nobody in Central Illinois is interested in using food as medicine. They'd rather use medicine as medicine. So I just came back to Illinois and I thought I'll hang out with my dad for the rest of his life, or as long as he has a good brain still. And then I'll go join an ashram. I'm going to become a monk, and heck with all of this life. I just want to go sit in a cave and meditate. That was my plan. And then I met my partner, Jared. Through a friend introduced us, the most remarkable person I could ever imagine, right here in Central Illinois, where I grew up. He was a reclusive, strange gardener, obsessed with gardening and whole foods. And from the first time we met, I said, we're going to have a market garden together. We're going to sell your vegetables together. I didn't think we would be romantic partners. I thought I was going to make a friend and help him sell vegetables. And in short order, we started our farm. And that was in 2018. We started selling vegetables to family and friends from his garden. And now we've grown the garden to large markets at the garden. We got 200 chickens, and then we got 300 chickens, and we have cows. We're going to have 5 markets a week at the farm. we sell at eggs all over the community in different grocery stores. We train people, we teach people about how to garden, teach people about food as medicine. I don't know how I got so lucky to meet this person, a strange person, the only person ever that I could really talk about how I feel about food. We connected on food. We believe that food carries energy and that you can feel the energy that's in the food and you can feel the way it was grown and the people who touched it. And we're both passionate about that food can change the world.
Oh, absolutely. I just love your story. By the way, I'm sorry for any noise that might be coming through. I've got a couple of cats, and every once in a while they get the call of the wild and they just go nuts. I don't know why, but it just seems to be their nature, and there's not much I can do about it. And I don't try to stop things that are a force of nature, and they're a bit of a force of nature. I wanted to say, yeah, I think a lot of the problems that are going on in our society, on a social level, but also on a political level, on an economic level, on really every level, stems back to what people are eating or not eating. And they don't realize that what they're eating is not food. And it seems to be dumbing people down. And you add that with the fluoride in the water and other things, people just don't have the mental skills that they need to cope with and to see through what's really going on. And so I myself have eaten many different ways throughout my life. I was a big time carbohydrate addict. And even to this day, I can't eat carbohydrates because it causes the cravings to return. And so I have to be really careful what I eat. So I eat a very low carb, actually most of the time zero carb diet. But oh, my brain is healed in ways I never dreamed possible. And now that I'm next week, I'm going to be 68 years old. And for the last 5 years, I've been really worried about, was I coming down with dementia because my memory was no good and I'd get confused and forget stuff. And it's all come back better than ever, ever, ever. But I tell people, I don't give medical advice, but I tell people they need to start finding out what's real food. And literally, real food doesn't have a label. Real food. And even supermarket food and organic supermarket vegetables I was having trouble with. And I'm very sensitive to oxalates and lectins and histamines and all those kind of nasty things. So I may not have to eat this way forever, but for now, oh my God, what a difference. And, there's been a whole trend to make us afraid of eating animal fats. And animal fats are so restorative and so healing. And when we get them from humane sources, you're right, there's a difference in the energy, absolute difference in the energy. I'm going to have a fella on next month who has a bison farm. And that's why he got into farming, was because he wanted access to really healthy food. But anyway, I don't mean to take it away too much. I just wanted to tell you, I think it's fabulous what's happened for you. And I don't think it's by chance. I really don't, because once we get connected to spirit, it seems that a spirit-led life is full of magic and miracles and possibilities. And, it's so exciting to be alive in this time. So before I get carried away on another rabbit hole, I'm wondering if you can share with us the difference between the type of farming you do and your standard, I don't even know what the word is for it, mainstream method of farming. Obviously, I'm guessing you don't use the chemicals, the herbicides and the pesticides. You probably don't rely on only one kind of crop. But I'm really curious to know more about the whole composting idea that you don't till. I saw a video, quite a long time ago, about this old man who grew these amazing, huge, delicious vegetables, and all he did was mulch. He had a mulch garden. Everything was mulched, and he just threw pieces of potato and carrot and stuff, and he ended up with this miraculous garden. So I'm wondering if you want to just share a bit about the difference between what you do and the mainstream garden, so that people can see there's a huge difference. Even when you're moving into the realm of real food, there's still a huge difference between what I would call a spiritual source. Food, I believe, contains real food that's grown with love and care. Also, I believe, contains love energy from the sun and also from the people that are handling it. And it really makes a difference in the way it tastes, the way we digest it, and then how we manifest that in our bodies.
Yes, I will. I'll talk about the differences between regenerative farming and what we call chemical farming. But so true about food. If you think about an orange from Florida that gets to Illinois, about the path that orange has gone through to even get onto my table, and all the people who have touched it, and maybe people who are suffering or underpaid or exploited, the way the tree that orange grew on was tortured with chemicals, not enough water, harsh conditions, unnatural growing conditions and pruning and things that tortured it to make it have a certain thing, genetic modification, and just a simple orange to make it. How many hands have touched it, and how much energy it has picked up riding on a truck with exhaust fumes filling it. The difference between that and something, an apple that grew on one of our trees. And if you buy an apple from me, you can look in my eyes. You can see the person who, I've slept under my apple trees before, under a full moon. One time before they bloomed, I went out and slept under them and had dreams and dreamed with the apples. You can see all of that and taste all of that when you buy that apple from me. So I am here in Illinois, central Illinois, absolutely surrounded by fields of corn and soybeans that are farmed. The farmers have a very hard time making money because they have to spend almost all of the money that they get for the crops buying amendments, they're called, things to put on the crops, because the soil is dead. The soil is nothing more than that foam that florists use to stick flowers in to make them stand up. The soil is just a medium to hold the corn stalks up. And that's not what soil is meant to be. So regenerative farming is about the living soil. And there is a beautiful cooperation between the sunlight and rain and air and the soil and the life of the soil. And the combination of those things is what makes all of the life on Earth, is what makes everything live. It comes from plants who are able to, within their bodies, do this alchemy that turns sun and water into energy. So it's just beautiful. So regenerative farming is mostly about nurturing and supporting the soil. It's sacred. It's absolutely alive. And we try to keep it alive. We would never till. The soil is full of these mycelium fibers, tiny fungi fibers. It's the interweb. It's the World Wide Web of the world that's running through the soil. When you run a till through it, it's just like if you took a knife and cut through all of the wires behind your computer, all of the communication. So something happens in a garden. Let's say we have a row of tomatoes and a certain kind of pest, a bug, comes and lands at one end and starts eating a tomato plant at this end. Messages are sent by that tomato plant. This has all can be studied. You can see this happening. Messages are sent from the tomato plant all the way down through the soil using these interconnected mycelium fibers. And all of the other tomato plants use nutrients in the soil. They say, soil, help us. We need more of this nutrient so we can produce this protection against this pest. So that one plant on the end maybe sacrifices itself and gets chewed on by a bug. And all the other plants develop, with the help of the soil, develop an immunity. And so no chemicals, anything that you put, most of the things we put on the gardens end with the suffix "icide," pesticide, herbicide. That means kill. Homicide means man killer. A herbicide means plant killer. And I don't believe that herbicides are selective enough to only kill the plants that I don't want and to leave alone the plants that I do want. In fact, I think that something that ends in a side, that's in a chemical that I put on my food, I think it's probably going to kill me too, or kill me a little bit. It's probably going to make me less healthy. So nothing goes on we don't put anything on the garden except some nutrients that we spray in a fogger. Maybe if we feel like they're a little bit nutrient poor, it's really just a compost of just like what you were talking about. Maybe if we feel like things are low in calcium, we take some eggshells and compost them ferment them in vinegar to extract some of the calcium and then spray that calcium out over the garden. So simple things like that are the only things we would ever put on, but mostly leave the soil alone. It knows what to do.
Mm-hmm.
Don't cut the beautiful communication in the soil. Respect the soil. Regenerative farming principles are to always keep the soil covered, to always keep things growing in it. So in the wintertime, we plant cover crops so that it's alive. And while the soil is resting and going into this hibernation time, it's still full of life. And so we just always support the soil and mostly don't meddle. We are working with it. And I hope that when I die, I will leave this farm better than when I came, that the land will be better for me having lived here. And I don't think you can say that if you're farming corn and putting glyphosate onto soil. I don't think you can say that it will be better when you leave. I think it will be worse. A dandelion are considered pests than a weed. Dandelions are brave souls that go to the most depleted soil, the most dead soil, and they are the first things that are so hardy that they will go and live. You can drive around here and look at where there are a lot of dandelions in some places. The dandelions are trying to help. People just kill them as soon as they see them. Dandelions, when we're turning our pasture from chemically farmed, it was soybeans the year before. After we acquired it, then we just planted clover and vetch and rye in it and let the weeds come. And the first year, a lot of dandelions came. And the next year, there were fewer dandelions. And after 4 years, last year was the most beautiful goldenrod. It has gotten healthier, and a plant comes, whatever the soil needs, that is the plant that flourishes there. And it just gets richer and richer and more diverse.
Yeah.
So that's a bit about regenerative farming.
Wonderful. I've had a similar experience. Now I rent, and the owner of the house, he was disgusted because the first year he came around and the backyard was full of dandelions. But I know that dandelions, they sacrifice their lives and they re-nutrient and correct the pH and everything of the soil. But I also grew a lot of dandelions because the disease that we cannot talk about because this is going to be on YouTube. And then one of the natural cures was dandelion flowers. So I harvested and dehydrated a lot of dandelions as well. And there was enough for me and enough for the yard. The second year, we didn't get as many. Very interesting. And I also have a container garden, and I grow medicinal plants, and they also are very good for the soil. So I believe the soil is alive, just like our atmosphere is alive. We don't think about the air we breathe. It's full of microorganisms. It's got a whole microbiome. It's so important. People that are running around spraying air freshener and Febreze are fast tracking themselves to being upon to the pharmaceutical industry, because it's the same industry that makes the pills as makes the Roundup and all of that. You know, it's very it's like a death cult, really. You know,
it's you can't even imagine how dark it is.
Hi guys, break time for a short message. YouTube will not monetize me, so if you enjoy my content and want to support my efforts, help me to cover my expenses by visiting my shop to buy yourself a beautiful orgone generator. Zendome's Orgonite are my unique brand, and they are ethically sourced, handmade, and double charged for maximum effect. They are only available through my website, www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com. Many people are finding comfort with Zendome's orgone generators, commonly called Orgonite. They are a simple compound which balance ambient energy by converting negative energy and EMF into positive healing energy with many easily confirmed health benefits. They are a simple compound with alchemic and energetic properties. These devices function as self-driven, continuously operating, highly efficient, negative to positive energy transmutation factories. They help diminish the harmful effects of electromagnetic frequency radiation by attracting and converting negative energies, retuning them into new and more healthful sound and light wave patterns. And they help to purify the atmosphere and accelerate plant growth. They also help stimulate positive mood and are a natural remedy for poor sleep patterns. When Orgonite is within range of any corded or wireless electronic device, it will efficiently and continuously transform that energy into orgone as it is being transmitted. This essentially creates orgone energy transmitters out of any and all emitters of harmful negative energy. You can use these devices for focusing the mind, healing, meditation, and for spiritual growth. Zendome's Orgonite are my unique brand of orgone generators, and they are only available through my website. Don't be fooled by imitations. Check out my website to see my latest selection at www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com. That's KarenHolton healthcoach.com. Check them out today. Now, let's get back to the show. It's very dark.
It's hard to even get your mind around that a company would make baby aspirin and also make glyphosate that provably causes cancer and death and derangement. Like you were speaking when you said before about the people's brains aren't working correctly. I know this, and you know this, because our brains used to be not working right. Look at you at 68. This is regeneration, the principle of regeneration at work, that we are always regenerating. If we're not degenerating, we are always rebuilding. And there's, you can always get back. I don't think about, you're such an inspiration to me. I'm glad you shared your age, because, and I think I have this many more years. I know I can still be cool at least for 12 more years.
Yeah. Well, I plan to live at least another 20, maybe more. I'm not going until I'm done, and I'm not done. That's all I got to say. But I also learn things all the time. Like I do all my own video editing software. I do all of that, all my socials, everything myself. And it's been, it was a bit anxiety causing in the beginning to understand how to use everything, but I'm no problem. I'm able to do it. But yeah, I'm not ashamed of my age at all. In fact, I'm proud, because most of the people I knew are no longer with us, and I'm still going. I'm still here, and so I'm very, very happy to still be here. I've no shame around my age at all. And I also think age doesn't mean anything. It's what kind of a person are you? What kind of a life are you living? Or is it well self-examined? And are we a blessing to the planet? And are we cultivating traits that we will take with us when we pass over, not stuff that we leave behind, like the bank account, the car, and all that? We leave all that behind, but what can we take with us? So that's my thing anyway. But I'm really excited about the farming that you're doing, because it's so important, and people don't realize right now. Actually, just before the show, I was watching some alt media, and they were showing all the farmers are revolting all over Europe, Italy, and France and the Netherlands and Spain, and they're all coming together saying enough is enough. If without farmers, you have no food. It's that simple. And the other thing too with the mainstream way of growing, doesn't take much to destroy entire crops, and then the soil, because it's not alive, doesn't have, needs years to come back. Whereas when we grow things the way spirit and the way the planet intended, there's a very quick recovery time when if ever there is a problem. I'm really excited about all that. And so you've got chickens, so that means you've got eggs, and you've got what kind of cows do you have?
What are they? Black? I can't even remember the breed. What would that be?
It's okay.
We had 2 female cows, and then they had 2 calves this summer. And so we're going to grow the herd probably to 6 calf-cow pairs.
Nice.
And yeah, we're not going to do any milking. I'm not ready to milk them. And plus, I never want to make the mamas stop nursing as long as calves want to.
Yeah.
And so that's for them, not for people anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're great for the soil, and we have move the chickens to fresh pasture every single day. It's the best thing for chickens. They live in a wonderful house called the Egg Mobile, and it just can get pulled to fresh pasture every day and movable fence around it. And so they have a very good life, and they eat crickets and grasshoppers and scratch in the dirt and whatever they want to eat. And then the cows follow them. And so they follow the cows. So they're scratching around in the manure and spreading it around, and just all of them contributing to all of the life of the pasture.
Yeah. There's a oh, I don't know what you want to call it, but there is a great effort being put out there saying that humans are ruining the planet, and cows are bad, and we need to stop eating meat, and cow farts are destroying our atmosphere. Now, personally, I think it's all poppycock. I think it's all delusional minds have made up all this stuff. People who do not have basically they're psychopaths. And psychopathy not only means that they can't have fellow feeling, but it means they're lacking all the different things we use to be creative. They have no creativity. When somebody gets an idea and they want to spread it around, now they want to impose it all on all of humanity. But we know that's not true. In fact, cows are, there used to be as many First Nations people, that's what we call the Native people here in Canada, as there are populations in North America now. And they all used to eat bison and deer and all of that. And they cohabitated, and all those animals had to poop, and it was beautiful. The land was beautiful beyond what we could even imagine. So what's your response to all that about cow poop being bad for the environment? And what's your take on it?
Well, one thing about farts, cows who live in CAFOs, or those confinement, horrible concentration camps for cows, are not being fed grass, which is the natural food for cows. And I know that when I eat something that's not my normal food, and that my body doesn't know how to digest very well, I might have a lot of gas. And I might not if I was eating the food that harmonizes well with my body. Also, I know that it's only 4 cows, but their poop, if you get right up on it, it smells bad and it's disgusting, but mostly it's unnoticeable and a part of the environment and a part of the life. And things come and eat it very quickly, and it's serving everything. But if you have thousands of cows who are, I can't even speak about the conditions that they live in, standing in their own poop, confined and never able to leave a cage or be in the sun, unable to move and to do anything, and being fed, almost force-fed. Some of what they feed cows is grain. And some of it is, if you were making Twinkies, or ding dongs, and there's the leftover bits that doesn't go into the Twinkie or ding dong that goes to feed our cattle. And so just beyond, it's not even real food, it's beyond crappy food, and that's all they're given to eat for their whole lives. And yes, you have to pump them full of antibiotics because they're going to be so sick from living under these horrible conditions. They're going to be full of suffering. And yeah, it's very bad for the environment. Imagine that number of cows confined. I mean, they have to find places out in the country far away from anyone to even have these horrible facilities. I don't know. It's obviously what you said about the psychopaths. The lack of creativity, you're right. But another facet of it, it seems to be self-hatred.
Mm-hmm.
The mind of a person who could do that to another soul, another living soul, to confine them and torture them for life like that for generations. I don't want to live in a world where that happens. And I would have to hate myself if I could do that to another being. I think I would hate life and hate myself.
Mm-hmm.
You love yourself, you can have compassion for the other beings in the world. And our society has to be deranged in order to accept this, and to perpetuate it. It's horrifying, what we do to animals. The way I've rationalized it with meat is I eat only a bit of meat. It's more like a side dish than the main course, but all the meat that we eat is local, and I know who killed it. So it's venison or local beef, from the guy that we get our cows from.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that is just what works for me. And I know I have a lot of privilege that I have access to that kind of stuff. But I've also made sacrifices in my life to be set up to be able to make those choices.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's possible, and you can always do a few steps better. But yeah, I think they're going after the wrong problem when they say the giant factory farms that they do is bad for the environment. It is. I would agree with that. But the solution isn't to start eating bugs or to go to all veggie burgers. Maybe the solution is to have maybe a few cows spread out, per family all over the landscape, and that there's ways that it could be sustainable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. A lot of people live in cities and they don't realize how much land there really is, and people could share in the work to have more small farms. And people can have container gardens if they can't do a full garden. There's so much we can do, and I think we're getting to the point where we need to start taking our power back and realizing, a common thing I hear from people, and I used to feel this way myself, is I can't afford to eat better quality food. But that's not true. What happened was when I made a commitment to start eating better quality food, I lost the desire to waste my money in other areas of my life. And I was happy to pay for good quality food. And because I think I'm worth it. And also it just seemed to be the way I needed to do it if I was going to be of any benefit here on earth. So I think food is so important. I don't tell people they should or shouldn't, what they should or shouldn't eat. You can be a vegan, a raw vegan, a vegetarian, an omnivore. You can do keto, you can do paleo, you can do carnivore, and there's always ways that we can get better quality. And I believe in a harm reduction model where, yes, maybe we can't do it perfectly to fit our ideal, but maybe we can take one step closer. And then after that, we can do one step closer again. And as our minds start to clear, we start to think more rationally and be better at problem solving. And then we are able to find ways. But there's also another factor, and that is spirit. Spirit meets us where we need it. And it's interesting, like a lot of people believe in what they call Holy Spirit, but very few take advantage of it. just kind of, and it's in everything, and it's constantly conspiring for our success and our health. And and it's everywhere, and all we have to do is be open to it. So with that, I'm wondering, please feel free to continue with the farming, talking about that in any way you want. But if you want to shift that over to the healing work that you do, that's okay too, because this is also an important component of the work that you do. It ties into everything.
Yeah, thank you. I'd love to talk about that. I have started calling myself a healer, and it does encompass the work that I'm doing with the farm and food and the education about food that I'm giving. But I've started doing energy healing, what I call energy healing. That is the name that my guides told me to call it. I know some people call Reiki energy healing. I'm not Reiki attuned. And I think it's wonderful. And I think it's similar to the way that I move energy in people, but I'm no Reiki master or know anything about it. But anyway, I get very strong reads from people. And as my spiritual gifts were coming online over the last 10 years, I was frustrated with the things that I knew and wanted to share with people, advice that I had for them or insights that I had. I would feel compassion and want to help people, but I didn't have a vehicle to do it. It was very awkward. Well, you can't just tell someone, I can see what you're pretending. I see the mask that you're wearing. I see what you're pretending, but that you're really hurting inside. And I think you probably need to forgive your mother and you would feel better. You can't say that when you're trying to sell somebody carrots. And so I was just having some difficulties in my life. I felt like I wanted to channel messages for people, but I didn't have a vehicle to do it. And it just started to get frustrating for me. I meditated a lot and asked my guides for help a lot. And one day I told my friend, maybe I should be an energy healer. And she said, do it. Then she's a very good friend who just calls me out in the moment. Well, do it then. Do me, heal me. She said, I have this little tightness in my chest. Heal it for me. And then I was like, what? And I just closed my eyes and images started flowing to me, and I started sharing the images with her. And I just kind of knew what to say, and it seemed to help her. And so I just decided to do it. And it's just what you said about spirit meets you. Once I decided to do it, and I said, I don't know how to do this. I'm going to have to figure out how to set up a booking page on Squarespace. Oh, it's going to be so hard and nobody will like it. It just started happening. And things just, sometimes it seems like there's one of my guides just comes in and goes, get out of the way. Let me take care of all of this fiddly little details. You just go relax over there, and just boom, 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 boom. All the details get worked out. So I just started doing this. And at first I was just giving them away for free sessions just so I could practice. But people came to me and gave it a chance. For a long time at the beginning, I was afraid I wouldn't have anything to say, that people would come to me for an energy healing and say, okay, what do I do? And I would just have nothing. This is a funny story. I asked my guides, what if I don't have anything to say? What do I tell them? And they said, tell them that you see an image of a kitten licking its paws. And I said, a kitten licking its paws? Nobody is going to pay me to say that I'm thinking about a kitten licking its paws. They said, everybody loves that image. Just give them that. If you don't know what to say, just say that. I said, that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But I mean, every time I start a session, I'm like, okay, if you don't know what to say, you've got the kitten. And I always have something to say. I've never had to use it, and words just flow out of me. And as I'm talking to people, I can just feel blockages. And it's just my favorite thing to feel like a river that's all clogged up with debris. And I just bust through it, the debris, or push it gently, or whatever it seems like. And so I'm just, as we're talking, I'm just energetically removing blockages, and we can both feel it when it happens. And oh, it's just miraculous. And I still have a feeling that someday I'm going to run out of things to say, and I'll tell someone I see a kitten licking its paws, and they'll say, oh, that was the picture that my grandmother had on her wall. And like that probably, so just, I have faith in my gift. I'm not sure what it means, but to me, it's when I'm talking to somebody about why they should eat more carrots and kale, or when I'm doing an energy healing session, I do them on phone or Zoom, talk to people all over the country. This is a very rural kind of new age backwards place where I live. So I've had some local people, but mostly they are wonderful people from all over the country. And I've in Canada, and I've just met the most amazing people who find me. And I put all of these spells around the farm and around my booking page for energy healing, and just say, nobody will get here. Nobody will find this place unless it will be of benefit to both of us.
Mm-hmm.
I just feel that protection, and I have faith in myself. I don't have any money. I'm not going to probably get rich doing either of these things, but I'm completely free. And yes, spirit meets us. That's going to be my phrase for the day. It's so beautiful. If I just open myself up, I will have the words that I need to say. I will have the food that I need to eat to nourish my body and feed the people that I love.
Mm-hmm. So true in my life. So true. I also do online counseling with people, and I always think, oh, what if I can't think of the right thing to say? And I'm not one for really promoting that part of my life very much. It's not that I can't do it or I don't have faith in myself. It's just that I just don't think of it because I'm busy, with my show and other things. And every once in a while, I'll do a show on my own, and I have no idea what I'm going to say. I have no script. I'm compelled to talk about something. And once I start talking about it, all these things come to my mind and I just speak out loud. And next thing I know, I've done my own podcast. So, my goal is to be a blessing on this planet, to not hurt myself and to not hurt anybody else, and to bring joy and hope and peace, into other people's lives. And to say, I'm a freaky old lady and I'm out of the closet, and I'm not going to hide the fact that I'm a freaky old lady. And this is all the amazing, miraculous stuff that I experience in my life. I've met the most amazing people. Every week I do a show. That took great courage, because I thought, who am I to be interviewing people and all of that? But I just did it because I was compelled to do it. And that's how I've made my community and my friends. And I've had people contact me and say, oh my goodness, my whole life has changed because I listened to your podcast. I'm going, wow, you got to be kidding. They said, yeah, through you, I found that person and that person. And now I'm hooked in, and I've got a whole network, and I'm happy and motivated. And I'm having these strange, wonderful experiences that in the mainstream nobody talks about. And everybody's life is just getting better. And it's interesting how it's kind of like we create worlds within worlds. So you can look at the world and you can see the war and the problems, and people are worried about this, that, and the next thing, and politics and all of that. But within that world, we have our own world that's embedded into it, that's absolutely miraculous and magical. And it's so exciting. And then we meet up with other people who also experience the miraculous and the magical, and it's so exciting. It's just so exciting. There's never been a better time to be alive, in my opinion. Anyway, again, I didn't mean to ramble off on you there. Please do continue.
Oh, that's beautiful. It's a big message that I say to myself and to everyone is I do see the darkness in the world, insurmountable problems that I can't imagine how they would be solved. And what I feel is the best thing that we can do is work on ourselves, increase the capacity of our own hearts to love, and to clean up our own energy, and to expect miracles. And instead of focusing on the darkness of the world and the wars, to focus on a vision of what could be possible. There's things like when people say, well, there will always be war. There always has been war. That's just how people are. There will always be wars. Why? Why do we say there have to be wars? I think that's just programming. I think there have been times when with humans on the earth and other beings where there weren't wars. There doesn't have to be a war. Let's hold the vision, and maybe the solution will be simpler than we think. All of these huge structures of psychopathy and suffering that are built up are built on sand. They could crumble overnight. The medical industrial complex is held together with baling wire and duct tape.
Oh,
It could just fall apart overnight.
absolutely. I see it as being a rickety old cart. And the bolts are coming loose and the whole thing's swaying back and forth and it's ready to crash. You could also look at it as being a house of cards and it's all coming down and we're not being fooled anymore. More and more and more of us are waking up and we're not being fooled anymore. And I think our will definitely holds weight. Another reason to go back to food, eating real, nutritious, lovingly grown food makes such a difference in our perceptual arena. And then we're no longer captive slaves. We're alive and magical and miraculous, and we touch each other's lives, and it's just amazing. And I've had people tell me, "Oh, you're crazy if you think that way," and I'm going, "Well, you know what? I'm not the only one. If that's being crazy, sign me up." And there's millions of us, millions and millions, and people's eyes are being opened. A lot of the bad stuff that's happening in the world is opening up people's hearts and minds in ways that maybe wouldn't have happened otherwise. But yeah, we got this. We totally got this. Yeah, we got the power.
Yeah. I just got four regarding food, but also regarding energy and spirit. Here's really four simple things that I like to tell that people could do today to make a big difference in your life. Grow something that you can eat, even if it's just some basil in a little pot on your windowsill in a tiny apartment. Grow something that you can eat. And every day when you water that plant and tend to it, send it love, and watch it grow and watch the miracle of it sprouting and its life unfolding. And when you eat it, it will nourish you like nothing else and be delicious.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing is to eat with other people. I think it's really important that we bring back this sacred act of meals. It's really hard to be an enemy with someone that you have cooked a meal for.
Mm-hmm.
So if you, even somebody that you're not best friends with, if you cook for them and you think about how the food will nourish them and how the food might delight them, and then you sit there and enjoy it together, it opens up some space for peace. The third thing you could do is learn how to cook something from scratch. Learn how to make one thing from scratch, and that means using whole foods. Just like you said, most real whole foods don't have labels at all. But if it has a label, at least choose foods where you know all the words on the label without having to look in a chemical textbook to figure out what they are. So just make something from scratch. It could be a tomato sauce. It could be salsa. It could be a loaf of bread. Just something where you can take whole simple foods and cook something that you love to eat. That is an act of defiance against the entire food system, is you making something from whole foods. And even better if they could be something that you bought locally. And that's the fourth thing that everyone could do is, even if you live in a big city, make friends with a farmer. Go make friends with somebody like me. Buy something where you can look in someone's eye who raised that food, grew those vegetables or raised the animals, and that you can look them in the eye and you can ask them how they treat their plants and how they treat the animals and how everybody feels. You can see if they're evil or if their heart is full of love. And it will serve you well if things do go very south, to be friends with those people, and they'll remember you, especially if you spend your money on maybe some of the farmers who live near you and buy from them. They'll remember you when food gets scarce and everyone's coming to their door, and they'll be more likely to share with you.
Mm-hmm.
And it'll just enrich your life to make friends with farmers.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Networking is so, so important. And networking with people that might be different than we are. that means people from different cultures, people from different backgrounds, get to know a biker, a hippie, and a farmer, and find out what we have in common. We have so much in common. And I think that's really important too. So yeah, it's very, very exciting. So I don't know. I have great faith in humanity. I just do. I have great faith in humanity. I think there's so many of us waking up and our hearts are good. There's a lot of talk about how dangerous the world is and how much crime there is in the city and this and that. I don't see it. I mean, I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying that I notice how many lovely people they are. How many people, especially here in Canada, it's partly the culture. Nobody wants to hurt anybody's feelings. People are really careful about, being respectful of other people's feelings. I just love that. I mean, I think there's a middle road. I think we could be more like Americans too, and be more honest and forthright too. But at the same time, I'm just saying the basic thing is that nobody wants to hurt anybody. Nobody wants to hurt themselves, and we don't have to. We can live the way we know is right. And I don't know, I think I have a challenge with how much time I spend looking at screens. If it isn't a Netflix show, it's doing video editing. And if it isn't that, it's my phone. So I actually will restrict, how often I will let myself look at my phone. People will be going, I've been trying to get a hold of you all afternoon. I'm going, well, I'm sorry, I can't just be that connected, because that's an artificial world and it takes my attention and my gaze away from the real world. And I need to be grounded in the real world. I don't know. What are your thoughts about technology?
Yes, I have, just like I'm pretty radical about how I eat. 80% of what I eat is local food. I just buy things that I can't get locally, like cooking oil and a few simple things. I can't get wheat. But 80% of what I eat is local. It's a huge privilege to be able to eat like that. And it's a very extreme way of eating. I don't eat any processed food. That's an extreme way of eating. I'm the same way with technology. I stopped watching television during the 2016 US presidential elections because it was so unpleasant. And so I just have not had a TV or watched TV since then. I stopped watching Netflix in about 2018, and I don't watch any video really, except for if I'm watching something like you, but very, very little video. I don't hardly go on YouTube. I do listen to podcasts and I use a computer. I'm not on any social media. I'm very disconnected except for, I use spreadsheets and stuff to run the farm business. And listening to podcasts is a great way for me to stay connected to the world. But for me, I don't take in toxins into my body through what I eat, and I don't take in toxins through my body through what I watch.
Right.
And I think even movies, even entertainment it scares me when people say to me, after a hard day of work, I just want to go home and turn my brain off and watch some stupid TV for a couple of hours. And I want to go out of the precious 24 hours that we get each day. You want to turn your brain off for 2 of them? I don't want to turn my brain off for any amount of the time. I want to be wide awake. I'm not a machine. I don't turn off. I'm here to experience. And so, yeah, I feel like it's hypnotic and very toxic.
Yeah.
To watch any TV, and I just avoid it. Again, I'm very lucky that I get to do that. Not everybody gets to, but it's how I choose to live. And I wanted to say something about people waking up also, and encourage everyone to let your freak flags fly just a little bit. I sense that people are waking up, the most unexpected people. So if you're talking to the cashier at the supermarket and you see a sparkle in her eye, like she could be, starting to hear her spirit guides, or she might be practicing some white magic and just trying it out. Just show a little bit of yourself and be brave. and don't be afraid of people thinking you're weird. Mostly people will be delighted. And if the worst is that they'll think you're quirky, but I mean, people have thought that I'm odd my entire life, and I don't even care anymore. So let's have a little bit of faith in each other also, that we could awaken. We all could.
No, I agree 100%. Yep. Like I said, I have great faith in humanity, and also don't believe what you're told. Like a lot of what's on even alt media, is terrifying. Don't necessarily believe it. It's not that it isn't happening, but probably it's not happening. I got to say, really, everything has been so sensationalized to get us to draw our attention. There's very little reality in the things that we think are real. I don't even always believe what I think. Sometimes I believe I'm thinking things, and then I'm going, wait a minute, what the hell am I thinking? No, that's bullshit, Karen. I'm not buying into that one. That one's got to go, But if I don't have time with myself and with honest self-reflection, how am I ever going to know even where my mind is going, So there's so much potential that we have. And I'm so happy that you're on the show today. Before we go, though, I just want to give you some space to add anything else you want to talk about while you're on the show today.
Thank you. I appreciate you so much. It's just, I feel so warm and comfortable talking to you. And I really do think you're doing important work, and you have an important voice. I especially love your panels, that you bring together just the wildest people to talk on a panel. And you've made me feel so welcome. I just want to ask anyone who wants to try an energy healing session with me. They're quite inexpensive right now. I may be raising my prices soon. But if you go to my website, and she'll put it in the notes, just go to the book, Energy Healing.
Yeah, say it too, because there are people that'll be listening to the audio only, and that'll help it get stuck in their brains better.
Yeah, my page is called regenerativelife.farm.com. It's spelled just like it sounds, Regenerative Life Farm. And there you can read on there all about my farm. You can read about the amazing Eggmobile. We have lots of blog posts about regenerative farming if you want to learn more about that. There's also an energy healing page. It's all one-stop shop. I just do it all. That's all my healing. And so there you can book a session with me. And like I said, I put spells on the page so that if you look at it and you feel like, that's interesting, but not for me, just move on. It probably isn't for you. But if you feel a little tingle and a little resonance, and if you're listening to this podcast, you probably will resonate. But if you feel something, just book a session with me and give it a try. And I can read your energy, and I can help you shift either physical or mental and spiritual issues. And you just never know what's going to happen. If nothing else, you can tell me all your weird ideas that you don't know who else to talk to about them.
Yeah.
Please check out the page and just go there, and you'll know right away if it's for you or not.
Wonderful. Well, it's been a real pleasure to have you on the show. I hope to have you back in the near future, and we can talk some more. And I wish you the very best with your farm, but also with your healing work, because that's really, really important and very valid. I don't know about you, but the odd time I go see the doctor, I walk out of there going, what was I thinking? Why did I even go in there? It doesn't seem to have anything to do with healing. It's about pills and about symptom management.
It's about sick care, not health care.
No.
It's just symptoms.
No.
Nobody thinks about healing anymore. I like to ask a nurse or a doctor, what's your favorite healing that you did today? They'll say, what?
Yeah. So getting back to your services, Becca, for those of you who are not getting the kind of support you need from the what's so-called mental health industry or the doctors and all of that, why not take a chance and try something totally different and work with energy and move your energy and see how that goes. And you might be quite in fact, I'm pretty sure you would be quite pleasantly surprised, because ultimately, you know, we can heal ourselves too. So it's all very, very important. Well, thank you so much, Becca, for being on the Quantum Guide Show today. And I wish you the very, very best. I'm very excited that I got to meet you. And I want to tell all the viewers and the listeners out there how much I appreciate you as well. It really means the world to me. And I love all the positive feedback I get from you and from people who listen to this show. It really means a lot to me. Helps me know I'm on the right track. I'm doing the right thing. And I just enjoy doing this so very much. So I guess that's it for today. We'll say bye-bye, and we'll see you next week, everybody, on the Quantum Guide Show. Thank you for joining me for the Quantum Guide Show. Become the change that you wish to see in the world. Subscribe to my YouTube and other channels at Karen Holton TV. Click the like button, leave me a comment, and share this podcast with your friends. Check out my website at www.karenholtonhealthcoach.com to see my free resources and amazing products and services. All the links will be in the description below. As part of the Forbidden Knowledge Network, you will find the Quantum Guide Show with Karen Holton and also the Aliens and Angels podcast on all audio platforms. Until next time, keep up the good work.